Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Jay, here to do another video. Um, a little bit about the new goings on in UK politics. The UK, the United Kingdom, now has a brand new prime minister, um, Rishi Sunak, who is the first Asian, British Asian to ever be elected to um, the prime ministership, the first Hindu, and even the first person of color ever in the history of that country. So it's pretty big news. He's replacing Liz Truss, who was unceremoniously uh, thrown out and removed from power. The UK has really, over the past couple of months, and even going back a year from now, um, has had a really tumultuous political history. Not they only have they lost their longest running monarch in history, Queen Elizabeth II, but Boris Johnson was thrown out, then Liz Truss was thrown out, and now um, Rishi Sunak is the new PM. He is a conservative, so the right wing, um, the right wing is back in power. Um, when it comes to uh, UK now, Liz Truss was a leftist, and Boris Johnson was a right winger. So we'll see particular um, how that particularity affects the UK. But yeah, hopefully he stays in power, like my co-host Lisa was saying, because right now doesn't look. It's just a tumultuous political situation. But I wanted to talk a little bit about what the implications mean for this globally. I mean, British Asians, people from, of course, when we say Asian here in the United States, we're referring to Chinese, Japanese, Filipino, Vietnamese, Burmese, or people from Myanmar, Laotians, Thais, people of East Asian descent. But in the UK, the word Asian is particularly used, and in countries associated with the British Empire, the word Asian particularly is used to refer to people from the Indian subcontinent, meaning India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and sometimes Sri Lanka, almost never Nepal, which is ironic because Nepal, being the only Hindu kingdom in the world, is tangentially related to Indian culture. But I don't think Nepalese people go under that categorization. Neither do those from Bhutan. But the point is, these three countries of Bangladesh, Pakistan, and India are called Asian countries in the UK, and UK affiliated countries of the British Empire, such as Uganda. So when you read about, for example, in the 70s, when you read about the expulsion of Asians from the African country of Uganda by the dictator Idi Amin, it refers to not Asians as in East Asians as we would here in the United States prefer to, but South Asians. Um, they are a huge minority in Great Britain because, of course, India and all of South Asia, which was the United India at that time before 1947, was the crown jewel of the British Empire, the main country that comprised the British Empire. So after the British left in 47 and the three countries, the one country split into first two countries and then three countries by the 70s, many uh, Indians and South Asians went to Great Britain and settled in Great Britain. You know, Indian food like chicken tikka masala is the main one of the main dishes, or one of the most popular dishes in Great Britain, which was good for British cuisine because British cuisine prior to the immigration of both Indians and people from the Caribbean and Africa was completely bland without spices. Is fish and chips being the national dish of Great Britain. So, and they've added to them musically and artistically with Bhangra music, a Punjabi form of music being very popular within um, British musical tradition. And now they are asserting themselves. And of course, in the cricket game, in many ways, cricket, a sport that originated in England, is now more popular in the Indian subcontinent than it was in um, in Britain. It is in Britain itself. Soccer slash football has replaced the popularity of cricket in recent decades in England itself, but in the Indian subcontinent and those in the Indian diaspora, um, uh, is way more popular. So they've been a part of a fabric of uh, British society for a very long time, at least since the 70s, 50s, 60s, and 70s when they started coming over to that country. And they've asserted themselves. They've had members of parliament that have been British Asians, but never this far as being the head of the government in Britain. So this is pretty good. It's a sign of diversity, just like in the United States when we elected Barack Obama, or when we elected Kamala Harris, for example, or even in India itself with the election of Muhammad Singh, a Sikh, a minority Sikh, a member of the Sikh minority. Whenever a minority has a historically marginalized member of a minority group gets elected to major office, we look at it as a progressive change for that particular society. Um, I don't know. It's funny because he's not a progressive at all. He's a conservative, but it is what it is. Um, of course, London, London has a mayor who is Sadiq Khan, the mayor, who is, I think, of Pakistani descent. So another British Asian that's in power. Asians in Western countries, there have been some examples of it. One example, for example, one example in the 1990s, Japanese Peruvian Alberto Fujimori, and of course, in countries where there was a large Indian indentured labor ship, like in Guyana, or particularly Guyana and Trinidad and Fiji, there have always been South Asian, or as they say in their lexicon, East Indian heads of government and heads of state. um, for example, Kamala Basar, Kamala Prasad Basard, the former Prime Minister of Trinidad, for example, or the former Prime Minister of Guyana recently, Moses Ragamotu, was um, East Indian, and the famous um, Guyanese Prime Minister Jetty Chagan uh, from the late 1970s and early 1980s, the second Prime Minister in Guyanese history. So uh, we have seen East Indian heads of state, but how will this, the question that I've been reading in a lot of articles is, how will this impact Indian and British relations? Of course, in India itself, you have Narendra Modi, who is a also a right winger, and there have been in India a movement towards the right the right wing. We saw in March of 2020 this movement towards the right wing has resulted in a lot of xenophobia in India, especially towards its Muslim minority. So, being that he is a Hindu, being that he is British Asian, how will this affect Indian and British relations? The question remains to be seen. Um, but like I said, I just found it funny over these past couple of months. Britain is like, well, who's captaining a ship? We don't have a PM, we don't have a queen, we don't have anybody really doing much of anything. But now we have a prime minister. So, with troubles going on still in the world, the reverberations of COVID still going on in the world, we got to see what um, Rishi is going to do. Prime Minister Sunak, what is he going to, what's he going to accomplish? How is he going to bring about the changes in British society? Because since 2016, we've seen a tremendous shift in um, the political opinions of most Brits. I tend to associate Britain, just like Canada, just like Australia, just like New Zealand, with more left wing politics, at least than the United States. But over these past couple of years, we've seen a movement towards right wing politics in Brazil. We've seen a movement of right wing politics in Western countries. I mean, Trudeau is still in power in Canada, but many people don't like Trudeau. Um, Biden is here in power here in the United States, but many people don't like Joe Biden. So, and Kamala Harris could be added to that list as well. She, off topic, she is a person of British Asian extraction. Her father is Jamaican and her mom is Indian. So she also um, is of Indian descent. So there. And it's funny because it happens right after Diwali, a major holiday in India, the most important holiday possibly in the Hindu religion. Um, Come on, days after we see this historic election. Peace. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Love you guys.